not going over this bridge tonight. I can tell you that right now.
Oh.
Yes?
No, we're not.
This is one of those episodes that we filmed. It's an investigation that kind of fell into our laps, actually. We were contacted through our messaging service that we were using way back in the day from a lady named Sarah Evans, who had recently purchased a property as like a vacation property in Colorado.
Hi, my name is Sarah Evans. I live in Florida now, and I've lived here for almost 22 years. And my husband and I decided that we wanted to get a house somewhere that was completely different.
When she purchased her property, they had done a lot of shopping around. Her and her husband wanted to have something that they could add into the estate of the family, basically.
So we found a house. It's just the surroundings are so beautiful, and it is quite cold, but it's just a nice change for us to go back and forth.
They decided on this property because they loved it, but it had a lot of rumors of things that had happened there, specifically one instance that involved a child.
After I moved in, got to know a few of the locals, and several of them had told me that there was a little boy that used to live in this house, and he fell into the ice, and he drowned.
There's a long history involving this property. It goes back almost 100 years, but one story in particular, there's a stream on the property that freezes over during winter, and allegedly there was a little boy who was playing on the bridge, and he fell through the ice and drowned. Before our interview with her, she admittedly stated to us that they purchased the property because the price was just too attractive to pass up, and didn't really give a whole lot of thought to all of these negative sort of strange occurrences that had happened. She didn't really attach the occurrences to maybe something that was happening on the property. I don't like using words like cursed, but you know, we live in a country with many, many years of dark history, and who knows what these grounds were used for in the past. During their first visit to the property, when they were finalizing this purchase, they had used it as an opportunity to kind of set it up for visits, and she arrived with her husband in early summer. So the landscape when we went and visited it was completely different than what they were used to, or were completely different from what they experienced at all, for that matter. So they finally buttoned up the property. They got all ready for visits, and their big thing was they wanted to have a place to go to experience seasons. They're from southern Florida. I believe they're from the Gulf Coast, as I recall. And they really don't get the snow, the wilderness, the woods. And they had planned on having this first winter trip to kind of show up and then invite family there. It ended up turning into something where it was just them two. And on her first visit there, like the first couple nights they had stayed there, she was having these things that were happening that were interrupting her sleep, and she couldn't really recollect exactly what it was until one night specifically. She woke up to the sound of children's voices playing or doing some sort of activity outside.
I woke up one night and I heard children's voices. And I'm like, what? I said, am I dreaming or am I awake?
It really didn't make any sense. Like, she has grandkids, but they're not with them. The closest property or closest neighbor is miles and miles away. And to add another layer of creepy to that, when she went outside the next morning, there was kids' toys from like years and years ago, like nothing modern at all, but she was finding them scattered throughout the snow. After this first winter trip that they took, they ended up reaching out to us. I guess someone knew of us or had previously worked with our messaging system that we were using a few years earlier. It was really easy for us to kind of tap in and find locations that were close to each other so that way we could go investigate these things. There's a lot that goes into these episodes and a lot that goes into these investigations. We can't just pop on Google and find haunted places throughout the United States that accept paranormal investigators. So it was really a benefit in the beginning, having this messaging service, and randomly out of nowhere we see Sarah blah 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 at gmail.com and we need your help. We opened it up, got some of the details. We set up an interview with her so that way we could get some more details and have a little bit more backstory and content for the episode. And it was actually later in winter that same year that we went out to investigate it. Because of our proximity to each other and proximity to the actual location, and at the time Denver Airport was inundated with weather issues, like it was constant delays, and we really didn't have a whole lot of time to be stuck there or not be able to fly there and be stuck at an airport or have to do this crazy layover thing. We decided to fly into Salt Lake City. And when we landed there, we basically decided we were going to drive for a half a day across half of both states to get to this location. So Casey, he rented an SUV thinking that, we were going to be good. It was just him and I on this trip, and it would fit all of our gear or whatever. But he rents a two-wheel drive, like Chevy Traverse or something. It's literally pearl white. And as we were driving there, it didn't seem like it was going to be an issue. Like I said, it was late winter. Some melt had happened already. But as you further got into these like mountain valleys of Colorado, we started seeing winter set in like right before our eyes. While we were driving, we were having like all these intentions of shooting these cool shots. Casey just got a new drone. We're going to film some B-roll for trailers for the new season. And those opportunities got extremely limited the closer we got because we ended up getting caught in a blizzard. So as we go, we're driving along in this two-wheel drive SUV, no 4x4, and we were getting, from my experience, closer and closer to an emergency situation. It's very unlike me to not have supplies for like emergencies like this. We don't have food, there's no water. The only heat source we had was the heater, which was, the core of it was more than likely like freezing at this point. And we had maybe some thin sweaters, some thin sweats. There was nothing that we had that would have prepared us for what we were experiencing. Luckily, I had a U.S. Army issue Gore-Tex jacket, which might cut it for a little bit, but there was no lifeline, no safety net at all. We didn't even have phone service. So we're getting closer and closer to this location, and about 10 miles away from the location, it starts coming down hard. Like the snow went from just below the hubcaps to just above the door handles in less than 5 minutes. And Casey, being from Southern Florida, he says, well, I guess now would be a good time for us to stop and get some snow footage. And I'm like, LOL, dog. If we walk more than 10 feet away from this pearl white ass SUV in this bullshit, we are literally going to freeze to death. Like the car's going to all but vanish from us. There's no way that we're going to be able to track our steps through the snow back. This is a bad idea. I don't think you're really understanding the situation that we found ourselves in. I immediately switched gears into like borderline survival mode. Like instead of thinking about filming content outside right now, we need to switch gears into thinking, what are we going to do when this turns into an emergency situation? How are we going to keep ourselves warm? How are we going to get ourselves out of here when the inevitable happens here shortly? In another crazy stroke of Mindseed filming spree luck, an F-250 snow scraper comes up the road, talks to us, calls us stupid for being out in this bullshit, and then literally carves a path for 5+ miles through the snow, getting us to the driveway of our location. This is all stuff that you don't see on camera. That's more or less the purpose of this series, to show you all of these things we go through to even film the episode, let alone get something that's worthy of editing to create an episode out of. After a couple hours of us just getting to the location, it was now dark out. So we had to like park and start immediately, basically. When we got there, it was just like a cute little old cabin in the woods. It was like a Christmas scene, sort of not unlike what you would expect. Like if you and your family went on like a Christmas break ski trip when you were a kid. There was a little shop garage, a nice little courtyard out there, all of it covered in snow. I think I could see a fountain poking through the snow as well, but nothing like ominous or eerie. It was far from these big cobblestone side cobweb buildings that we had approached in the past. When we got there, we went inside to warm up, and luckily there was heat inside already for us, like a residual like floor heater, keeping it just warm enough. And we started to kind of do a walkthrough, but it seemed like it was going to be one of those not a lot happening here kind of places.
What? Might be like an automatic heater or something, like a timed heater. That's great.
Oh, yeah. We decided to take the investigation immediately out to where this kid had allegedly drowned.
You know what I'm talking about? Like when a dog like sticks their nose constantly.
That absolutely does not look like that. It looks like fingers.
Dude, when we saw like little child footprints in a running stride pattern, my heart about stopped. Like, put all of the details into perspective for yourself. It just dumped snow. We had to get carved out of the snow just to get there. And in the fresh snow, there was child footprints that stopped about 2/3 of the way across the bridge. Eerie.
Whoa.
Do these look like adult footprints or
No.
those look like kids, right?
You can still see the impression of the foot. Look at them. Like they ran across it.
By far one of the craziest parts of this, just to set a little bit of the scene and give you the details of it, it was one of like the quietest places because the snowpack was on everything. It prevented any sort of reverb or echo in the woods. Like, it sounded like we were in an isolation chamber just talking to each other. It was so desolate. It was so quiet. I could hear the water running beneath the ice. That's how quiet it was. Like I said, when you look at the pattern of the steps, we noticed that it stopped about 2/3 of the way across the bridge. Like, it didn't go fully all the way. And if you backtrack and you listen to the story of kid was playing outside, ran across the bridge, fell through the ice, drowned.
Hey, there's no more footprints.
Huh?
There's no more footprints. They stop.
It starts to like bring up like, wow, this is seeming more real than ever. Like, is this an energy that's repeating the same pattern over and over again at the right time? And did we stumble upon it on the right time, right day, when we were actually going to get physical evidence of it because we had fresh snow to prove it? At that point, me and him decided we were going to walk across the bridge and just see if there's anything from the other side that we can like maybe picture the scene in our minds and kind of get a good read on what we were going to do as far as investigation, as far as tools we were going to use. And I can only say that when we got to the other side, it almost felt like we stepped through some sort of energy portal. Like, on the opposite sides of this stream, it was like being in two completely different worlds almost. After we go through this initial like walkthrough, I guess, of the location where this allegedly happened, we decided that the best tool for us, especially because it's been producing a lot of clear results for us, especially lately, we were going to use the ovilus. And it was like the fourth or fifth word that came through the ovilus as yanked in.
Yank in.
What did it say?
It said yank in.
Oh my God.
Yank in.
And also, if you look at the footage, there's like these strange three-toed prints that are on top of the ice and the snow in the stream that stop about right where the kids' footprints stop. We obviously go through like our whole bag of tricks at this time, and like we ended up using a spirit box. And as I recall, I believe one of the first clear voices we got to add to the terrifying situation, the terrifying responses we're already getting, was "Mommy, I'm scared." We start running a Ouija board session, which at that time I had kind of like, we'd gotten lucky here and there. Like, I hadn't had any like physiological reactions from my body or any sort of like harm done necessarily. So we begin the session, and I remember for a good duration of time, we're getting nothing. We're getting nothing through Spirit Box, getting nothing through Ovilus. And the second that we spin ourselves into the Ouija board, the Ovilus started going nuts. Male, violent, surprise. And any of you that have watched any of our episodes, surprise is usually an indicator of something fucked up is about to happen.
Solstice.
Solstice.
Wait. Why did it just start going nuts on 3 spins?
After a little over an hour running the Ouija board, we were getting nothing, no activity on that. All of our devices had basically gone cold. And you've seen it many times in our investigations. Like, there's a point where we're just like, okay, we need to like put it down, reset. So we buttoned everything up and kind of got ourselves ready for bed. And when we were like laid down, lights off, like ready to just crash out, the activity starts again. We were literally seconds away from falling asleep. Like, I remember being in like a lucid delusional state almost before I fell asleep. And we start hearing singing coming from outside.
You hear that? Yeah.
Casey and I popped up and we threw on our clothes, everything that we had that was warm, rushed downstairs. And like, there's even a moment where you can see we're running the camera and he sets it down and he swears that he sees something out the window. But before that, we noticed, because we had investigated a little bit in the beginning and we saw some smears on the window, there were these new little tiny handprints, but instead of being on the inside of the glass, they were on the outside now.
That's outside the fucking window. Look. Look right here. Is there any more? Oh, bro.
Dude, they're all over the place.
So at this point, we're starting to think like we're getting set up. Like, this lady contacted us. She watches the show. She's trying to like, you know, get her own little touch like involved and like help us like make some sort of like banger episode or something like that. And we're running through it, like we're getting fucked with. Like, someone's got to this has to be some sort of like, there's no way that every single thing is just falling into place the way it has. There's no way. Like, we're used to getting pretty concrete evidence and we've shown you that over the years. This is more like almost like someone is manufacturing an experience for us. We thought probably a physical human being, but as the night went on, we kind of realized like something else is manufacturing its own version of evidence. And what we saw next was, I have no words for it. Obviously, we're both fucking shocked at this point. And Casey's attention's drawn where he says he saw something like run out in front of the window. And as we look out the window, there's no lights outside. All we have is moonlight that's like barely peeking through, like where there's the break in the trees where the stream runs through. We see a black figure standing in the middle of the bridge right where the footprints stop. And right now, through my mind, I'm remembering at that moment, I'm thinking, yanked in, mommy, I'm scared. I'm thinking like this situation that happened is stuck somewhere in the ether where it's just repeating itself. The physical evidence that shows up of this action. It must have been one of the most like traumatic events, some sort of peak of emotion that would get that to be stuck in time.
What is that? Do you see that right there?
Dude.
What is that?
I don't
Oh,
know.
bro,
That's
it's moving. It's moving. What the fuck is that?
Oh, my God.
Dude.
You can see in the footage as we're holding the camera, we're literally watching what we think looks like something on the bridge. We had to enhance the light later to see what it was. As soon as we see this thing move, it confirmed everything that we were seeing before our eyes. And it was the most unnatural movement I've ever seen. It was almost like this thing like floated at a sprint speed. And then when it goes into the woods, it's like this sideways strafe pattern that you would never expect from like a human being or any sort of humanoid physical presence. After a while of this black object running into the woods, we ended up going outside and running a yes/no prism. And we were asking it questions, and it was literally just like, it was almost like messing with us. Like, it was like answering yes to pretty much everything that we had asked. There was a point where we asked it if it was even allowed to come across the bridge, because that's a very real thing in this kind of world, this kind of supernatural, ethereal, paranormal energy. Like, it's like the stories you hear of, I don't remember the type of entity, but the kids that knock on the door and they can't do anything to you unless you invite them inside. And Casey says, do you want to come over to this side of the bridge? And it immediately goes, yes. Bad idea.
How about you come over this side of the bridge?
As we're standing there, it was trying to egg us on to go across the bridge, to follow it into the woods, which is like, dude, even at this moment, I think you can probably see it was not happening. That is the last thing that either one of us was going to do in that situation. And then Casey decides that he's going to ask it to come over across the bridge, at which point the yes/no prism goes yes and lights up bright green. We've learned through many, many years of doing this, but sometimes there's a little bit of a lapse in judgment because we're getting active communication, to not invite things like that. And, you know, it was a little bit irresponsible because obviously we're there for a limited period of time. Like, who knows if when he invited that over, if that was now like the clearance for it to just remain on their property forever. We continue asking it questions, and there was a point where Casey or I asked, was that you outside singing? And again, yes, on the yes no prism.
Was that you singing while we were trying to go to bed?
I know I've said this a bunch of times, but it's almost like these are categorically different kinds of scary, different kinds of fear. Like, fear doesn't even fully describe the emotion that you have when something like this happens to you and you witness it before your own eyes. I honestly feel so grateful that we are able to capture these type of things, especially this particular instance, because there are people out there, and I don't know why we are either so lucky or like we have been given a gift that we just don't fully understand, but we have been put in situations where we get like once in a lifetime paranormal evidence caught on camera, on audio, like follow-up testimonies of people that have seen the same thing. We have literally done this so many times. This one, in hindsight, this has got to be top 3 most compelling evidence that anybody ever see. I know you'll never be able to put yourself in our shoes when we were witnessing it in person, but stuff like this exists. Like this is one of those, I could study for 1,000 years and never fully understand what it is I saw, why it was there, why it moved in the way it did, why it was able to communicate at a level that it was able to communicate with us, where these boundaries and guidelines start and stop for it to be able to interact with us. It's taken me years. Like, you've all been sitting there waiting. You guys have all seen the channel parked on pause, basically. It's taking me years to be able to like grow the confidence to speak about this type of stuff on camera. Because I'm one that believes like the more you speak about things, the more you draw that energy to yourself. I mean, it's kind of like the manifestation principle, sort of. I'm always riding that line between like, I'm excited to do more of this stuff and be out there and like gather more content, and how much further can I push it? Like, how much luckier can I get? I've already had some very scary things happen. I've already had some very moving things, like things I thought that were permanent. Like, my brain's broken. My whole spiritual aura, whatever you want to call it, is going to suffer forever because of the things that I've done, kind of like on a whim with these investigations. But in the future, I think all the experience that we have is going to help us be a lot more organized, a lot more confident, and also a lot more careful when we do this type of interacting with unknown energies. Guys, I hope you're enjoying everything you're seeing so far. I know this is a different style of content than you're used to seeing. We do have a lot of things planned. I mean, I feel like we've said that to you 100 times in the past 5 years, but legitimately, we're trying to do this channel the right way, and we can't do it without you guys. We couldn't have done it without you guys in the past. I don't think we gave anybody in the audience enough credit for all the support you've shown us. Those of you that showed up week after week after week, everything we did, all the lives, you subscribed to Patreon, you bought merch, you bought mystery boxes, which I know he's still dealing with the fallout of the distributors for that. But this channel is a lot different. We didn't start this channel with a budget. We didn't start this channel with 400,000 subscribers like the other channel did when we joined. So everything that you do from here, as far as engaging with content, supporting our Patreon, buying a shirt for yourself, even just like being engaged with the community, especially our Discord, all of that stuff, it creates a benefit. I mean, I'm one of those people that for a long time, I've always said, if we could get every one of our audience members to subscribe for like $1 a month and just give them free content, that would literally sustain us and be able to expand our operation beyond what we can even understand. Tanner and I both have full lives. Like, I still carry a full-time job. This guy's still a firefighter. Like, this guy, he does 24-hour shifts. So like, we're doing as much as we can with what we have right now. And we hope to be doing a whole lot more. We have some time goals, like 6 months out, 12 months out, where we want to be. And so far, we're on pace to hit all of those, and we can't do any of it without you. So please stay tuned, like and subscribe. That's more than we can ask from anybody. And those of you that have the means to support and you guys are down with the channel, down with me and Tanner, down with the things that we've done in the past, and you know, you don't want to see us just disappear from YouTube, continue to support us in whatever ways that you're able to. We appreciate you guys. We are two real humans that know that there are real people on the other side. This is not some opportunity for us to inflate our egos and bolster some element of vanity in our lives. We really just want to be able to give you good, solid content, the stuff that you want, investigate things and pursue one of our passions, and continue to be able to make a living making wonderful, great, engaging content for you guys. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. For real.